Eunice Rakhale-Molefe is a former restaurateur, publisher and author of a book titled South African Culinary Heritage, A Table of Sincere Conversations. Described as a guide which should be included in any tourist travel pack, this book offers various chapters that are meant to celebrate and acknowledge the country's national culinary and cultural heritage. And to take us through some of the history and facts shared in this offering is author Eunice Rakhale-Molefe, joining us now via Zoom. May Eunice, a very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, Cynthia. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Great having you this morning. What is this book about, and what is the inspiration behind putting it all together?
The book is about African cuisine, but mainly focusing on South African cuisine.
Okay.
And it is also a story of my life. And this part of encompassing my life story just happened by accident. It wasn't meant to be like that. Yeah, so it's about food and the conversations around the food.
And just browsing the book, I see that you did not include any pictures of the food and the drinks that are shared in this book. Why is this?
When I started publishing the book, it was a pictorial book, a coffee table book. But as I was doing research, I realized that, there was not much written on South African food or African food, mainly South African food that was written by us as Africans. And I was looking for material just to enhance my pictures on the recipe book. And then I found that, there was no research. So I had to embark on a journey to do the research. And this research took over a period of 7 years. So by the time I ended up with the book, it had about 63,000 words. So it could no longer be a pictorial. It had to be a conversation piece.
Okay, a conversation piece it is. It certainly is. And in the book, you also share and compare the similarities and unique palatable heritages and cuisines from some of our neighboring countries. Let's talk about the relevance of this, especially now that we are well in Africa Month. Yeah,
it is important to realize and understand the similarities and the different palates, because this speaks to the definition of what African cuisine is. Unless we understand this, we can never be able to define African cuisine. For instance, African cuisine is defined by the style of eating. We are communal eaters. It is defined by the rituals that accompany this style, which is the washing of hands. It is also defined by the regions. If you look at Africa, different regions share different main ingredients. If you look at us, mainly in the South, we are meat eaters. Our main ingredient is meat. But if you go higher up in Africa, fish is a main ingredient. So the region speaks to the recipes and the tastes. And another element that defines African cuisine also is in Africa, the way we store our food, the way we cook our food. It's mainly open flame, and then storage, we dry our food. Those are the things really that define what African cuisine is. And then lastly and most importantly, it's the ingredient. And when we're talking about ingredients, it's important for us to differentiate between indigenous ingredients and the ingredients that we borrowed from other countries. Because not all traditional ingredients are indigenous. And for us to have a valuable product, we need to focus on those elements that are indigenous.
And I see that you've written quite extensively about the history of shebeens, traditional drinks and local tea recipes. I suppose this is a very important and interesting element to the book because so many of us can resonate with it.
Yeah, and with tea, I always say to people, in South Africa, we are tea drinkers. We don't drink coffee. But we need to understand what is the reason why we are mainly tea drinkers than coffee drinkers. It's because in terms of the market, in the world. We are number 2 in terms of exporting tea and producing tea. Number 1 is China, number 2 is us, as I said, and number 3 is Kenya. And for that reason, it just makes us to be tea drinkers. And we need to celebrate our tea farms in Limpopo and make it part of our tourist destinations. And I give recipes about tea because just like food, it is a ritual. It is a traditional ritual. It is a township ritual. Tea can be served for lunch. It can be served for dinner. It can be served as breakfast. So tea is a very big element of our cuisine. And I want us to focus on that, and so that we understand why we are tea lovers in South Africa.
And tea can also be an antidepressant for others, you know.
Yes.
Now the book, the book also come again.
I also want to talk about wines as well. Why we're talking about drinks, and that's the reason I was talking about shebeens. Just like tea, with tea in the market we are number 2, but with wines we are in the top 10. Number 1, I think it's Italy, and then we are number 10. So we are high up there. Therefore, for as long as we serve African food, it must be accompanied with wines. So in the book, I talk about how we can pair traditional food, indigenous food, with our local wines.
Sure.
And the wine, we have an indigenous wine that we need to celebrate, the Pinotage. The Pinotage is the one that puts us into that number 10 place. And we actually have a day where in October we celebrate, we call it Pinotage wine. And I want as South Africans, we need to be aware of that day and celebrate that, because wines is a good export for us.
Now, May Eunice, you dedicate this book to your mother, and the book also shares candidly about your strained relationship with your daughter, Motei Maketa. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, this is the part that really turned the book into a conversational piece. When I started on this journey, I wanted to authenticate the recipes. So I said to myself, because I'm upset with the fact that nobody has written authentically about the food, let me start with the right chefs, my mother. And I went home and spent time with my mother researching the book, because I really wanted to say to people, when they see the recipe of dumpling, they see the recipe of mokobi, they see the recipe of khamere, it must be authentically from my own mother. So that was the main reason why I went to Soweto and stayed with my mom. But something very strange happened during that period, that my mother was 84 then, I was 56, so we were both old. But through just that period of doing the research on the food, I started to connect with my mom. We started talking about very deep things that we've never spoken about. And suddenly I realized that, there's wisdom here. And as my relationship with my mom developed and became good, I realized that she can help me and equip me on how to mend my relationship with my own daughter. And the reason why I wanted to bring this part of my daughter's relationship and my mother's relationship is because this is a common problem, simply. Many families, many mothers have the same problem, but we don't talk about it. And because my mother was willing to talk about it, Motei was also willing to talk about it, I incorporated it into the book so that other families can talk about it as well. And towards the end of the book, I actually share those ideas that my mother gave to me to restore our relationship. So I want mothers not to be ashamed when they have problems with their daughters. It is something that is very common to all of us. And through conversations, they can be healed. But it was all around food. And also, I worked with Motei in the restaurant. So this food thing between my mother and Motei's mother, it's something that was common between the three of us. And through this common element, it healed us. It healed us.
Sure. All right. Where do we get a copy of this book?
The book is available online on Amazon. It is also available at exclusive books.
All right. May Eunice, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was former restaurateur, publisher and author Eunice Rakhale-Molefe, and we've been talking to her about a book titled South African Culinary Heritage, A Table of Sincere Conversations.